Hey guys, how's it going? Or I guess I should say ladies and gentlemen, since we all struggle with issues. So I just made the video, my introduction video. This is going to be vlog number 2. I introduced myself. You could check that out. I will put a description below if you want to check that out. That one has kind of an introduction to do with my weight. This one's going to be a little bit about my anxiety. I just shot the video, so if you watch that video and you watch this video, you go, wow, he wears the same clothes every day. No, I just shot it. I wanted to kind of break it up. That video was like 10 minutes long. This one might be as long. But I'm just kind of, again, I'm doing these vlogs for myself. This is my journey to a better lifestyle, a better person. And I'm tired of living life with anxiety and being overweight and unhappy and fear, and I hate it. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna live this life no more. It's ridiculous, and I'm gonna do my very best and just work at it. Because if you work at it, you're gonna accomplish it. It really is true. You put your mind to it, and if you're so tired of your weight or your anxiety or your problems with your relationship or whatever it is, you are gonna accomplish what you need to accomplish. And I know it's easier said than done. I know it. I've been overweight my whole life. I've dealt with anxiety my whole life, but you can do it. And I'm not trying to be some Tony Robbins or whoever inspirational type speaker. I mean, who am I? I'm just some 35-year-old out of Southern Oregon. But you can do it. And I've made huge gains in my life over the last couple years, and it's just only getting better. But so we'll just jump into, like I said, the first video we talked about my weight loss a little bit, and I just kind of want to introduce my anxiety issues that I have. Yeah, anxiety, the A word. We don't like that, do we? Because what is it? 40 million Americans suffer with it, and my anxiety is not as bad as some. Some people have really, really bad anxiety. They can't leave the house. And others have just generalized anxiety. I'm probably somewhere in about the middle. I do deal with some agoraphobia issues. There are some issues that I feel uncomfortable with going in stores or crowded places, or I even get a driving anxiety. And so, again, I'll try to keep this short and sweet, and if you have any questions, please message me, and I'll get back to you. This is, like I said, this is really for me a journey, but if I get some subscribers and if I'm able to help anybody out, and in turn, maybe you guys can help me out and say, you know what, this is what I've done, or this is, kind of what's helped me. I'd love to listen to them, But real quick about my anxiety, I've kind of always dealt with it. I've kind of always dealt with generalized anxiety. Just a quick story. I remember in 6th grade was like the first time I had a panic attack, and I was on a school bus, and we were at a stoplight and coming home from school, and I was sitting up in the front of the bus, and some kids in the back of the bus started yelling at the bus driver, saying that the car behind them was flicking ash or cigarettes at the gas tank. And I panicked. And I remember jumping up. I just remember kind of like blacking out, and not fainting, but just like tunnel vision. I looked for the emergency exit on the door. I opened up the emergency exit, and I just took off running. I didn't want the bus to blow up. That's the first thing I'm thinking of, is someone throwing matches and ash and cigarettes at the gas tank. So that was like 6th grade. So just to give you kind of an idea of kind of issues of anxiety that I dealt with, and it really wasn't like that all the time, but when my anxiety really hit was when I was 17 years old. I was chewing tobacco, caffeine or nicotine. Chew is way high in nicotine. I've even heard, now I don't know if this is true or not, but I've even heard one chew is equivalent to 3 or 4 cigarettes. Very high in nicotine. And I was also drinking Mountain Dew. which is very high in caffeine. Two things that are very anxiety producing. And I started getting heart palpitations. And I remember one day I was out playing basketball with my friends and my heart skipped a beat. And I remembered it seemed like it took an hour for it to start back up. And it skipped, and then it went boom, 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 and it just started pounding. And I had arguably the worst anxiety attack that I've ever had in my life. And I was, like I said, 17-ish. And I knew I was dying. I was like, I'm dying. So I went home. I told my parents to take me to the emergency room because I knew I was dying. And so we get almost to the hospital, and I'm calming down because let's remember, guys, anxiety never, ever lasts as long as we think it is. We think it's never going to end. It always ends, and it's usually 5-10 minutes. You still may have anxiety for a while afterwards, but the initial panic attack or extreme anxiety attack is gone in 5 or 10 minutes. Your body can't run at that level forever. Anxiety is I'm not going to maybe in a future video we could talk about what anxiety is, and I really am an anxiety scholar here. I've done everything, and I've read every book. I've seen psychologists, I've seen doctors, and I pretty have a firm grasp of what it is, and you're fine. But at the time, I didn't know this. This was before, this was like one of my first serious anxiety attacks. And by the time I got to the doctor, I felt fine. And so we didn't go in, and a few months went by, and I kind of kept having these heart palpitations where my heart would just skip a beat. And you'd feel it. You feel a heart palpitation, and some of you guys know what I'm talking about. It's just like do 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 do, and it's scary. When you're 17, that's what you know. You know your heart, your ticker is all you have. That's all you have. Without that, you're nothing, and it's scary. So I went to the doctor, my family doctor, and he hooked me up to an EKG, and everything checked out fine. We got to talking, and I was telling him about how I was chewing tobacco and caffeine with the Mountain Dew. I was drinking Mountain Dew like crazy. And he said, there's your problem. Your problem's right there. Caffeine and nicotine, that's a stimulant. It gets your heart going. And I kind of dealt with generalized anxiety for the longest time. And then about 6 years ago, and this relates to the story with my first introduction with my weight, is I met this girl, and we kind of became homebodies. We didn't really do much, and like I said, I'd get off work again in the other video. So reference back to that video to kind of, I don't want to fill that all in. You can watch that first video, and then you can come back here. But basically, I'd get off work at noon, and she would go to the store for me. And with me already, I dealt with anxiety pretty good when I was like 18, 19. Like when I first saw the doctor, he gave me kind of a clean bill of health, and that comforted me, and it kind of went away. Well, a couple years later, it kind of came back full force again, and then I went to the emergency room a couple times, and I was going to the emergency room to the point where they were like, Ken, you're fine. We're not even going to really waste our time. We can hook you up to an EKG. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. You're young. You're healthy. You're a little bit overweight, but my blood pressure, everything, I was healthy. And so finally, I watched some anxiety tapes, and my mom bought for me. And I'm not going to plug them here. This isn't about me making money off of some affiliated type thing. So if anybody wants any information, I could just give you what I used and PM me, and I'm not even going to plug it. And it helped, but then that was like, now fast forward. Again, I told you in my first video that I'm going to kind of be all over the place until it's really tough to do these introductory videos. I think once I introduce myself and explain to my issues, it's going to be much easier for me to make a quick 4 or 5 minute video. And back to when I was dating that girl, it just became so much easier. And with me already dealing with anxiety, and people with anxiety, they need to get out. They need to get out and go do things, okay? That's the worst enemy you have of just getting comfortable at home, It started getting to the point where it was tough for me to go to work. I would be so anxious and shallow breathing, and it started getting really bad. Well, my girlfriend at the time just started going to the store for me. And then I got to the point where I couldn't drive more than a mile from my house. I was really becoming agoraphobic. No, I was agoraphobic, and I still kind of am. Hence the reason why I'm trying to make this journey, these videos of documenting stuff. But so at that time, my anxiety was just, I couldn't do nothing. It got bad. It got really bad to where my girlfriend at the time was my comfort zone. I remember one time she couldn't go far away from me, and I would just get so anxious. I remember one time her and some friends were going to go like on a 4-hour drive, and she couldn't go. I asked her, and I felt bad. I felt terrible about it because I was so mad at myself for saying, "Can you not go? I'm scared. Here I am in my early 30s. A big guy. Played football, and I've always considered myself I don't want to say a tough guy because I was never like a tough guy, like a fighter or a bully, but and here I am, a grown man, sitting there saying I'm scared just to be home alone." But that's for another story. But I'm just trying to give you an overall feel for it. But my anxiety really reached a level, and I put my anxiety and my weight at 98% are the reasons that both of them exist. Because I've seen when I've lost weight, my anxiety goes down. When I get up to 350, like I talk about in my other video, my anxiety was off the charts. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't do nothing. And it's not even funny. And I know there's people out there worse than me, but I was pretty bad. And I'm starting to get out and do things, but I deal with anxiety. And it's time for me to get over it. It's time for me to move on. I'm 35, and it's really time for me to get on with my life and to make my current girlfriend happy, because she's a traveler and she wants to do things, and I'm not going to let it win anymore. So, yeah, that's just pretty much it. I've lost 75 pounds and my anxiety has gotten better. I'm no longer in that mile before where before I literally lived just a mile away from where I worked. So that way I was in my comfort zone. I could get home if I needed to. I'm no longer there. I still deal with it pretty good though. So that's for another story. But if you have any questions, PM me and we'll talk. Have a great day, guys. Bye.